Once upon a time, there was a witch. This witch was not just any witch. She had mastery over time itself. One day, this witch received a letter. She was called to compete for the title of Supreme Witch. So she travelled to the witches' coven and learnt that they would be competing with 7 other witches. There she met Bertha, who could swap mundane items for mysterious artefacts, before running up the stairs of the Grey Tower and meeting an old friend. Frank was a very old friend, in fact. He was often called Dodgy Frank because he pretended to be a frog prince, when really he was from another timeline, selling discount weapons and spells. The witch went back to her cottage to train to be the best she could possibly be. She learnt to blink, travelling great distances in split second, and worked hard to get as many mysterious crystals from Bertha as she could. She obtained 40 and brought herself a staff from Frank. This staff reduced the time it took crops to grow, so she could now farm for crystals in lightning time. Then she delved deep into the caves, learning about the special powers in amethyst crystals and how it related to the world around them. She learnt about hex casting, writing spells onto the world with amethyst dust catalysts. She bent the world to her will and then met another witch called PRISMARINA. This witch was not good and kind, but wicked and deceptive, luring our witch to her home, where she set phantoms on her and tried to stab her. Fortunately, the good witch managed to escape via use of a waypoint to a village friendly to her. After making her way home, she decided that she didn't have to suffer these torments, and using her special gift of chronomancy, she went back to the beginning. Well, let's try this again, shall we? So what we know is there should be a letter in my mailbox. I think what we're going to do is we're going to read the letter. It makes sense. Dearest Time Witch, you've been chosen to participate in a witching event of the century. In the event of my death, I always knew that someone would have to rise to take my place as Supreme Witch, which is why I've devised a series of my games to determine my successor. 8 witches, 1 winner. Will you come out on top? Follow the North Star during the witching hour. It will show you the way. Yours truly, the Supreme Witch. Now, fortunately, my time magic does allow me to exclude certain areas. This area is how it was when we left the other timeline. Now, I don't know, like, witches are of multiple timelines anyway, so they might remember. They might remember. Anyway, I still have all my spells. I still have my staff. I still have all the scrolls and things that I found. So let's figure out a way to get some more powerful crystals. Now, the first thing I want to work with is this staff of the farmer. It accelerates crop growth when it's in the main hand. Unfortunately, it also means lichen, so what I'm doing is I'm making a little thing underground so that, you know, it says, I think it's like range 12. 12 what? I don't know. I'm a bit frightened of finding out, but I'm going deep underground, and hopefully I won't destroy this world more than I already have. Behold my field of wheat! Now, I don't have any water on this, but what I am going to do is I'm going to hopefully use this staff without having any problems on the surface. Live in hope. Okay, so this is my spruce staff. This is my amethyst staff. Watch what happens when I hold this next staff in my hand. And then we farm. We farm as much as our heart's content. And the good thing is, I can use wheat to get crystals so that Bertha and Frank will power me up. So I've been doing this for about 5 minutes. You can see from all the seeds laying around. And I managed to get nearly a chest full of wheat. Now, this is going to become good later on. Ignore the massive seeds at the bottom of this trash can and that little place across the way. It's fine. Like, nobody needs this many seeds. They're going to despawn soon anyway. It's fine. And yeah, I've got all this wheat. Let's show you what I'm going to do with all this wheat. And here we are, the beating heart of all magic in the realm. We have 8 witches. There is obviously me, the Time Witch, the Fire Frost Witch. I think that's the Illusionary Witch. That is the Storm Witch. Over there, I believe, is the Sand Witch. That is the... Oh, that's the Water Witch. This is the Necromancer. And this is the Nature Witch. I think we got a little conclave on this side. I think we're doing all right on this side. But this is Bertha. Bertha... Hello, Bertha, who is amazing, by the way, who has got all these spells and glyphs and floating platforms and candles and all the good stuff. Hi. Can we talk? Because if you look at Bertha, you'll see they're a trader. They trade for these inquisitive gems. Now, I've only brought a handful of stuff here. But if you look further down, you start to notice that... it stops being things and it starts being food. One of those foods is wheat. Now, I literally haven't found any beets, carrots or potatoes, despite living next door to a village. So, what we can do is we can start... We can start pulling out gems. And oh my, these gems get you some mighty fine things. Please remember, this was less than 5 minutes of farming, because it's only half the stack of the double chest that I've got. 5 minutes of farming got me all these gems. I don't think anyone else has the farmer's staff. Maybe the Nature Witch has the farmer's staff. In their things that they can buy. I've got it because it's a time thing. They might have it because it's a nature thing. But I think this is, as a rule, incredibly overpowered, which makes me incredibly overpowered, which makes sense because, once again, Time Witch. Okay, so I've got 27 of these inquisitive gems from 5 minutes of farming. Now let's go up and see Frank. I like Frank. There he is, my friend Dodgy Frank. There is... I think everybody who's got someone to give them spells. Mine is Dodgy Frank, but I've looked at this. Place runes here. Runes you use to activate your abilities. There are runes here to activate your abilities. I don't know if I want to buy things straight away, but you can look. I've got glowstone dust, mana berries, netherite mana catalyst. I don't know what that is. Netherite wand, staff of the farmer. That's what I have. I wonder what everyone else got. Sky wand, netherite wand. So I could spend 25. You know what? I think that seems like a good deal. I don't know how to activate it, but let's buy ourselves a netherite wand. I don't know what it does. I think you've got to figure out how to bind spells to it. So at the moment it does nothing. So Dodgy Frank is not a frog prince. He might look like one, but that's what he wants you to think. But he's from an alternate timeline where the sentient races were not human. Not human at all. So, yeah, no, he just comes along, sells me discount spells and items, and we're all good. We're all good. Let's head back downstairs. So the other big secret that I found whilst I've been mining and doing my business is that amethysts have power. You can see them glowing right now. They are storing what is called media in the witchcrafting world. And if you take them apart, or completely miss, as I did just there, you'll find that they drop... Let's get the heavy crystals. They drop 3 kinds of powder. One is amethyst dust, not very powerful in the realm's possibility, but used to make like basic spells. You have amethyst shards, which are about 5 times as strong, and then charged amethyst, which is 10 times as strong. So they each hold a certain amount of charge. The bigger the crystal, the more charge it holds. Okay, so I'm going to gather like all of these crystals. I have some upstairs still, I think, from the once upon a time. All right, so the first thing you need to make is a staff. And there are lots of staffs going on, like water staffs, staff of suppression. Interesting. Dragon blood stuff. There are lots of stuff. The ones we're looking at are the ones that have the amethyst crystals. Now, I made a spruce one. I don't like it that much, but I didn't have any other wood. So I might change out my staff. I think the jungle staff's pretty cool. Anyway, like it's mostly aesthetic. Literally, it's aesthetic. Summoning stuff. I'm going to ignore that one. Right. So I chose the spruce staff, and it's a charged amethyst with sticks and a plank. So it's not difficult to get whatsoever. Now, however, when you open it up, when you click on it, it looks like this. And you are able to draw on it as much as your heart's content. Okay, and then you can get rid of it. Okay. So this is what's known as hex casting. Now, hex casting is, I'm going to say fun, but also a little bit dangerous. I also made this thing called the abacus. Now, that tells me numbers, because a lot of this is like, it's as if the world was a computer program, and this is the secret behind the computer program. And it's very pretty to look at. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you what I've learned. And I have learned very important things. I'll try and explain it as I go along. It's okay. I'm new at this too, and I will understand. So let's have a look at the book. There are things called patterns, and there are basic patterns. This one is Mind's Reflection. That puts me in a stack, okay? Because imagine if you've got like a tube and you're putting things into it. So if I combine this one with this one, it turns this entity into a vector. So now instead of having an entity on the stack, we now have a vector, which is basically where you're pointing, where you're looking at, and that sort of thing. Like, it's a directional thing. Now, if I were to do this one again and then do this, that will tell me where I'm looking. Okay, it turns that entity thing into a different vector. So this one is the position of my eyes. This one is where I'm looking. So this one is a direction. This one would put two vectors together. So where my eyes are and where I'm looking are both vectors, and it will put those into together. So it will tell it into a direction. Okay, I'm not going to do that one now. So if I was to do this, like so, let's start simple. This is me. Okay, zombie Cleo, you can see it there. If I do this, this is where my eyes are. Like literally where my eyes are. I am on block 803, 244, but I'm like most of the way up, so my eyes are up there. So that is, those two have gone into this vector. Let's put myself back on the stack. And then this is the direction that I'm looking at. So I'm looking up here, as you can see. Now, if I do this, I put those both together into a direction. Okay, it puts it all together. However, I think I should be looking at the floor for this, so give me a second. I know what I did wrong. I didn't put this rune in to make those two into a vector to be the thing I'm looking at. So I'm looking at like this block down here. So if I like 791237, 791237. Now that should be where the explosion happens if I wanted it to, and it doesn't matter if I move around, it will always happen. I haven't figured out how to cast it where I'm looking. That's my next step. But somewhere in that area there will be an explosion, or at least there should be if I do this next part right. Okay, so I haven't, hang on a second. I need to put the abacus in my offhand. It contains two. Okay, so no, this scribes it onto the spell 2. Let's try exploding things. Yes. Let's take this down into my mine, yeah? I think that might be a good way of doing this. And we can probably do something a little bit more tricky. Oh, hello. Do you have anything good? I've got like literally 2 emeralds in my house. You, in fact, do not have anything good. Good day, sir. All right, so I'm in my mind. Now let's change this abacus to a more, let's call it damaging number. So I shift and let's go to 10. This will use up more amethyst dust. So this is currently using up the amethyst, then it will move on to the amethyst shards. But let's see how this one goes. All right. So we've got the 10 power on the stack. Let's see. Like, I don't think I can die from this one, from this explosion, no matter how close it is to me. Let's see. Whoa, I might fall and die from the fall damage, though. Okay. Okay, cool. Now, if I could attach that to an item, I could cast that repeatedly at a wall. Okay, that's fine. Now I need to work out how to do other things. It's just occurred to me, I haven't shown you my blink spell. Now, obviously, time and space are relative. They're basically the same thing. Let's be honest now. So blink is one of those spells that I have, like, as a natural time witch. So, disappear from one area. Reappear a few seconds later, slightly further away. But this spellbook has a blink. Now, an entity, which is me, and a number. That's all it requires, I think. So, let's give this one a go. So, I'm going to do it over the... I'm going to sleep first. Okay, we're doing this one over the water. Let's get the abacus in my hand, because it says... What does it say? Entity and number. So, the entity is me. So, this is the me. And let's put in 10. So Zombie Cleo moves 10. And what does the blink look like? Okay, we go down first. Right. So... Oh! I moved 10 blocks in that direction. Now that, I believe, uses up amethyst shards. Hang on. Let's have a look. Costs about 1 amethyst shard per 2 blocks travel. So that used about 5 amethyst shards, or maybe amethyst dust. I think it's actually using my dust before it uses my shards, which is a welcome change, to be honest, because dust is prevalent and everything else is not. I think I've outgrown this little shack of mine. I think I need to get more powerful, and it's really difficult doing that when this guy's here, and make myself my own home. A palace worthy of the Supreme Witch, which is obviously me. I have time magic, of course it's me. But I've been Zombie Cleo. This has been Witchcraft. Class dismissed.